You're on keto. The weight is coming off. Your blood sugar is steady. You have more energy than ever. But then your blood test shows a spike in cholesterol. Your doctor warns you're at risk for a heart attack or stroke and immediately prescribes a statin. Now you're confused. Does this mean all the benefits of keto were pointless? Are you truly healthy or just feeling good before a serious medical event? In this video, I'll help you understand what really drives your risk of heart attack and stroke after age 50. Is high cholesterol truly the culprit or just a marker that needs to be interpreted in the right context? How can you tell the difference between a healthy metabolic shift and a dangerous rise that needs attention? More importantly, what markers should you actually monitor if you want to avoid a silent stroke or a sudden heart attack? The answer lies in understanding the relationship between cholesterol, inflammation, insulin, and vascular damage. And that's exactly what we're going to break down right now. First, we need to clear up one of the biggest misconceptions in modern medicine. Cholesterol is not the root cause of heart attacks or strokes. Over the past 20 years, large studies have shown that nearly half of all people who suffer a first heart attack have completely normal cholesterol levels. So what's really going on inside their arteries? The silent culprit is chronic blood vessel damage caused by long-term inflammation and insulin resistance, which is common in people who are overweight, physically inactive, and consume large amounts of refined carbohydrates. When the inner lining of the arteries becomes inflamed, it creates an environment where cholesterol can stick, oxidize, and form plaque. If that plaque ruptures, the body forms a clot, and that's when a heart attack or stroke happens. This means having high LDL alone doesn't automatically put you at risk unless it's accompanied by high insulin, elevated CRP, or other signs of chronic vascular inflammation. On the flip side, someone with normal LDL but long-term endothelial inflammation can still experience a sudden heart attack without warning. That's why in the next section, we'll take a closer look at the markers you should be tracking after age 50 to get a full picture of your real risk, not just the LDL number. Once you're over 50, it's no longer enough to just look at a basic lipid panel. What really matters is assessing your heart risk through a broader view of your metabolic health and the state of inflammation in your blood vessels. Here are the key markers that a good doctor will always consider alongside cholesterol, especially if you follow a keto or low-carb lifestyle. Triglycerides and HDL. The triglyceride to HDL ratio is one of the strongest indicators of insulin resistance. The ideal ratio is under 2:1. When triglycerides are low and HDL is high, the risk of atherosclerosis is usually lower, even if your LDL has gone up slightly. HSCRP, high sensitivity C-reactive protein. This test measures low-grade inflammation in the blood and can reflect chronic inflammation in your arterial walls. An ideal value is below 1.0 milligrams per liter. Elevated CRP alongside high LDL is a more serious concern than any cholesterol number by itself. Fasting insulin and HOMA-IR. Even if you're not diabetic, measuring fasting insulin and calculating your HOMA-IR can detect cardiovascular risk early. High insulin levels are a strong predictor of plaque buildup and stroke in the future. ApoB and LDL particle number, LDLP. Not all LDL is created equal. Small, dense LDL particles are more likely to penetrate artery walls and oxidize. ApoB reflects the total number of LDL particles. If it's too high, your risk of plaque accumulation rises. CAC score, coronary artery calcium. This scan measures calcium buildup in the coronary arteries. If your CAC score is 0, your risk of a heart attack in the next 5 to 10 years is extremely low, regardless of your LDL level. It's one of the most valuable tools for risk reclassification after age 50. By combining these markers, you don't have to panic when you see higher cholesterol. You'll know when intervention is necessary and when it's safe to stay on the keto path that's improving your metabolism and overall health. Next, we'll break down how insulin resistance, chronic inflammation, and endothelial damage form the core of most heart attacks and strokes in older adults. You might not feel anything unusual, but your blood vessels could be silently taking damage every day if your insulin levels remain high, even when your blood sugar appears normal. This is known as silent insulin resistance, a condition that may affect over 80% of adults over 50 without them even knowing. Insulin is the hormone that helps regulate blood sugar. But when your body is constantly forced to release more insulin due to a diet high in refined carbohydrates, unhealthy fats, or chronic stress, your blood vessels pay the price. Elevated insulin lowers nitric oxide, a compound that protects the inner lining of your arteries. Without it, the endothelium becomes more vulnerable to inflammation and damage. That inflammation then draws immune cells and oxidized cholesterol, leading to plaque formation. In this process, cholesterol is not the main culprit. It's more like the messenger. It goes to the site of inflammation to help with repair. If you stop the inflammation by lowering insulin, reducing sugar, and minimizing oxidative stress, cholesterol won't be harmful. But if you ignore the inflammation and focus only on LDL levels, you may fall into a medical trap, treating the number instead of the root cause. That's why diets like keto or carnivore, when done properly, with whole foods, no added sugars, and controlled industrial fats, can be powerful tools for breaking the cycle of inflammation. This can lower your risk of stroke and heart attack, even if your LDL increases slightly. In the next section, we'll clearly differentiate the two most dangerous events, heart attack and stroke, similar in underlying cause, but different in symptoms, detection, and how to respond in time. Heart attack and stroke both result from blocked blood vessels, but they affect two very different organs, the heart and the brain. That's why their warning signs and emergency responses are not the same. A heart attack happens when a plaque in the coronary arteries ruptures, triggering a blood clot that blocks blood flow to the heart. If the blockage isn't cleared within the first 60 to 90 minutes, the affected heart muscle begins to die and may not recover. Key warning signs include chest pain or pressure that feels like something heavy sitting on your chest, often spreading to the left shoulder, arm, jaw, or back. Shortness of breath, even with mild effort. Cold sweats, nausea, or lightheadedness. Sudden, unexplained fatigue. A stroke, on the other hand, is caused by a blockage or rupture in the blood vessels supplying the brain. Every minute counts. Millions of brain cells can die if not treated quickly. The fastest way to recognize a stroke is with the FAST method. F. Face drooping. One side of the face looks uneven or numb, especially when smiling. A. Arm weakness. One arm is weak or unable to lift. S. Speech difficulty. Slurred speech, trouble speaking clearly, or confusion. T. Time to call 911. Every second matters. Call emergency services immediately. What's concerning is that both heart attacks and strokes can happen to people who had no obvious warning signs, especially when medical care focuses only on LDL or cholesterol panels without evaluating inflammation or insulin resistance. Once you're over 50, early symptoms like unexplained fatigue, changes in sleep, brief chest tightness, or feeling lightheaded when standing should never be ignored. These are often early signals that something is wrong, and acting on them could save your life or protect a loved one from long-term disability. In the next section, we'll walk through practical steps you can take to reduce your risk of heart attack and stroke after 50, even if you follow a keto diet and have high cholesterol but no current symptoms. Once you understand that cholesterol is only a small part of the overall vascular health picture, the focus should shift from treating a number to managing true risk. Here are the clear steps you should consider taking. Re-evaluate your full metabolic profile. Ask your doctor to run additional labs such as HSCRP to assess low-grade vascular inflammation, fasting insulin and HOMA-IR to detect early insulin resistance, ApoB and LDL particle number, LDLP, to determine the type and quantity of LDL in circulation, lipoprotein A, a genetic marker for elevated atherosclerosis risk, and most importantly, the CAC score to detect coronary artery calcification. Reduce inflammatory factors through lifestyle changes. Choose healthy fats like unprocessed meats, fatty fish, and extra virgin olive oil. Eliminate seed oils and ultra-processed foods entirely. Engage in moderate aerobic exercise for 30 to 45 minutes a day to support endothelial function. Prioritize quality sleep, maintain a consistent sleep-wake cycle, and reduce chronic stress. Avoid smoking and manage blood pressure and glucose tightly. Communicate clearly with your doctor. Instead of immediately accepting a statin prescription due to high cholesterol, you can say, "I've been following a strict keto diet. My triglycerides are low, HDL is high, and insulin is well controlled. I'd like to check my CAC score or ApoB before making a decision about statins." This shows that you're proactive and evidence-based, not dismissive of medical advice. Monitor your own body closely. Don't ignore subtle warning signs like ongoing fatigue, unexplained insomnia, mild chest discomfort, even if it's brief, dizziness or lightheadedness when standing up. And if you notice any stroke symptoms following the FAST method, call emergency services immediately. Here are excerpts from reputable clinical studies on cholesterol and cardiovascular risk. For decades, cholesterol, especially LDL, low-density lipoprotein, has been labeled as the primary culprit behind cardiovascular disease. However, a growing body of large-scale studies in recent years is shifting this perspective, suggesting that cholesterol is only one small piece of the heart disease puzzle. Other critical factors such as chronic inflammation, insulin resistance, and LDL particle size may play a more decisive role. One of the most widely cited studies is the Framingham Heart Study, which began in 1948 in Massachusetts. It is considered a cornerstone in cardiovascular research. Early data from Framingham did show a connection between total cholesterol and heart disease, especially among younger adults. However, later analyses from the same study revealed that as people age, the relationship between LDL and cardiovascular mortality becomes weaker, and in some cases even reverses. In other words, for certain older adults, higher LDL levels have been associated with longer, not shorter life expectancy. Another key study is the Minnesota Coronary Experiment, 1968 to 1973, one of the first randomized controlled trials to test the theory that reducing saturated fat would lower heart disease risk. The study found that replacing saturated fats with vegetable oils did significantly reduce LDL levels, but it did not lower the rate of heart disease deaths. In fact, among adults over 65, the risk of death increased. This raises an important question. Does lowering LDL at all costs truly lead to longer life? More recently, a comprehensive review published in BMJ Open in 2016 analyzed data from over 19 major observational studies involving more than 68,000 people aged 60 and older. The findings were surprising. Individuals with higher LDL levels did not have higher rates of cardiovascular death and, in many cases, actually lived longer. The authors concluded current data do not support the cholesterol hypothesis as a primary cause of mortality in the elderly population. Beyond LDL, one marker that is now considered a stronger predictor of heart attack risk is ApoB, apolipoprotein B, which reflects the total number of LDL particles rather than just the cholesterol content in the blood. A study published in the Journal of the American College of Cardiology, JACC, in 2019 found that ApoB is a better predictor of cardiovascular risk than traditional LDL-C, especially in individuals with metabolic syndrome or insulin resistance. This supports the growing view that the number and size of LDL particles, particularly small and dense ones, matter more than the total cholesterol level. Another important marker is the triglyceride to HDL ratio, which has been shown to be one of the most powerful indicators of insulin resistance and arterial plaque buildup. A study published in Circulation, the Journal of the American Heart Association, highlighted a strong correlation between a high triglyceride HDL ratio and cardiovascular risk. This ratio should be evaluated alongside cholesterol levels in any comprehensive heart risk assessment. Additionally, the CAC score, coronary artery calcium, is an imaging tool that measures calcium deposits in the coronary arteries.
According to data from the Multi-Ethnic Study of Atherosclerosis, MESA, a CAC score of 0 is associated with an extremely low risk of heart attack over the next 5 to 10 years, even in people with high LDL. This score is now widely used by cardiologists to reclassify risk more accurately rather than relying solely on traditional lipid panels. Taken together, these findings point to one important conclusion. LDL on its own is not and should not be the sole indicator of cardiovascular risk, especially for adults over 50 or for those following high-fat diets such as keto. A more complete picture should include inflammation markers, insulin resistance status, LDL particle profile, and advanced imaging when appropriate. Understanding the true role of cholesterol within this broader context helps prevent unnecessary medical interventions and allows for more targeted actions that genuinely protect heart health in the long run. Common mistakes when dealing with high cholesterol after keto and how to fix them. Seeing an increase in cholesterol after starting a ketogenic diet is common, especially in individuals who are sensitive to saturated fats. However, the problem is not the rise in numbers itself, but how you respond to it. Many people make serious mistakes when faced with a blood test showing elevated LDL, even though other health markers such as weight, energy, and blood sugar have clearly improved. Below are the most common mistakes and a more scientific approach to handle each one.
Stopping keto immediately just because LDL went up. This is perhaps the most common reaction, and also one that can quickly lead you back to insulin resistance, weight gain, and chronic inflammation. An increase in LDL after starting keto does not necessarily mean your cardiovascular risk has gone up, especially if other markers like triglycerides have decreased, HDL has increased, insulin is stable, and blood pressure is under control. In many cases, elevated LDL may reflect more efficient fat burning and active lipid metabolism. Instead of quitting keto, what you need is a more comprehensive review of your overall metabolic profile and clinical context. Agreeing to start statin therapy without checking other risk markers. Some doctors may prescribe statins based solely on the LDL-C number without evaluating ApoB, hsCRP, CAC score, or fasting insulin. This is an incomplete approach. Taking statins when not medically necessary can lead to side effects such as muscle pain, liver stress, or increased risk of type 2 diabetes in sensitive individuals. A better solution is to have an open discussion with your physician and request additional tests to assess your actual cardiovascular risk, especially if you're following a high-fat, nutrient-dense diet like keto. Panicking due to lack of knowledge and following poor advice from online communities. It's not uncommon for people to post their high LDL results online asking for guidance. The problem is that most of the advice shared in these forums is not evidence-based, often leading to unnecessary fear, misunderstandings, or harmful solutions like taking over-the-counter cholesterol-lowering supplements, attempting prolonged fasting without supervision, or switching to an unbalanced restrictive diet. The fix? Only trust information from healthcare professionals who understand keto, metabolic nutrition experts, or reliable medical literature. Failing to distinguish between harmful and harmless types of LDL. Not all LDL is dangerous. Small, dense LDL particles are more likely to penetrate the arterial wall and oxidize, which promotes plaque buildup. In contrast, large, buoyant LDL particles, which often increase on a ketogenic diet, are generally less harmful. If you do not clarify which type of LDL is elevated, your risk assessment will be incomplete. The solution is to request advanced lipid testing, such as LDLP, ApoB, or a particle size distribution analysis if available. Failing to distinguish between harmful and harmless types of fat. Some people follow keto but consume excessive saturated fat from processed meats, industrial seed oils, or repeatedly fried foods. These fats not only worsen your lipid profile, but also increase inflammation in the vascular lining. The correct approach is to prioritize unsaturated fats from extra virgin olive oil, grass-fed dairy, fatty fish, and avocados, while avoiding refined seed oils and ultra-processed foods.
not monitoring metabolic and inflammatory markers over time. Making decisions based on a single lab result is a mistake. Everybody reacts differently during the early phases of adapting to keto. Testing too early in that transition can lead to misinterpretation. It is essential to monitor key health markers at least every 6 months, including lipid profile, triglyceride to HDL ratio, HSCRP, fasting insulin, and CAC score if possible. Long-term trends, not isolated numbers, are what reveal true benefits or risks. Elevated cholesterol after keto should not be met with fear, extreme reactions, or blind faith in a single LDL number. Instead, focus on the full picture of metabolism, inflammation, and actual cardiovascular risk. From there, you can take informed action that balances benefits and potential concerns. This way, you maintain the advantages of keto without resorting to unnecessary medical interventions.
How to build a heart-friendly keto diet. Not all ketogenic diets provide the same cardiovascular benefits. In fact, many people follow keto in a high-fat, unlimited meat fashion, which can raise harmful LDL, trigger vascular inflammation, and increase long-term metabolic risks. To make keto truly heart-supportive, you need to understand how to choose the right fats and combine them with an anti-inflammatory lifestyle. 1. Prioritize unsaturated fats and omega-3s. Healthy fat sources include extra virgin olive oil, avocados, chia seeds, flax seeds, and fatty fish such as salmon, sardines, and mackerel. These foods are rich in omega-3 fatty acids, which help reduce inflammation and naturally improve your lipid profile. 2. Avoid inflammatory foods and industrial oils. Completely eliminate soybean oil, sunflower oil, corn oil, and canola oil. These are high in omega-6 and can disrupt immune balance. Limit intake of processed meats like sausages, cured pork, and bacon, which are loaded with nitrates and additives that promote vascular inflammation. 3. Include low-carb, antioxidant-rich vegetables. A low-carb diet doesn't mean avoiding vegetables altogether. Add spinach, broccoli, cauliflower, zucchini, celery, and cucumber. These provide polyphenols, vitamin C and E, and flavonoids that protect the vascular endothelium. 4. Keep insulin levels stable through lifestyle habits. Engage in light aerobic exercise for 30 minutes daily, get 7 to 8 hours of sleep each night, and manage stress through meditation, deep breathing, or walking. These habits help lower insulin, reduce inflammation, and protect your heart. 5. Stay hydrated and maintain electrolyte balance. Ensure adequate intake of potassium, magnesium, sodium, and water to stabilize blood pressure and support nerve signaling, especially during the initial phase of keto when your body loses fluids rapidly. A well-structured keto plan does more than burn fat and stabilize blood sugar. When done correctly, with the right foods, lifestyle, and proper tracking, it can become a powerful shield for your heart health. In the final summary, we'll bring everything together. A rise in cholesterol does not automatically mean a higher risk of death, if you control inflammation, insulin, and vascular damage properly. And most importantly, understanding the true source of risk is the best way to protect yourself after age 50. High cholesterol after starting keto is not a death sentence. It may actually be a sign that your body is shifting its energy source, burning fat efficiently, and keeping blood sugar stable. But if you're only looking at your LDL number without considering the full picture of your vascular health, you're missing the chance to detect real risks early, like inflammation, insulin resistance, and endothelial damage. After age 50, the risk of heart attack and stroke doesn't lie in how good you feel today. It lies in what's happening silently inside your arteries, something only comprehensive lab work and regular monitoring can reveal. Here's what I want you to remember. Don't fear high cholesterol blindly. Don't ignore the absence of symptoms. Be proactive, test the right markers, ask the right questions, and take the right actions.
If you're following keto, do it wisely. Choose whole, unprocessed foods.
Track markers of inflammation, insulin, and heart health regularly. If medication is needed, know why you're taking it and for how long. And if today's information helped you better understand your own health, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with friends and family who are also confused about rising cholesterol after 50. If this video gave you clear, useful insights for protecting your heart, hit follow so you don't miss future medical guides. I'll be covering more on cholesterol, stroke, heart attacks, and how to spot early warning signs after age 50. Good health doesn't come from luck, it comes from the right knowledge and timely action.